Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those within the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Welcome to Insights. I'm Sherry Stewart. Well, you may have noticed some new faces in and around Alpena. Today, we're going to introduce you to two people who have taken on some very important roles right here in the city. Our first stop is the Salvation Army. Well, we're pleased to introduce to you today Major Prisa Morrison with the Salvation Army. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I should say welcome to Alpena.
Yes.
So you have a really interesting story, Major Prisa. We want the community to get to know you. Certainly you have some interesting ties here, so tell us all about that.
Yes, when they called me and asked me if I wanted to come to Alpena, and they mentioned, we hear you have family up there. And I said, well, I sure do. And my parents both graduated from Alpena High School in 62 and 61 and 62. Right. And my grandparents were Salvation Army pastors here in the 40s and in the 50s. And my grandma Morrison also was very active in the church and had leadership roles. And I've had aunts and uncles and cousins who have attended this church on both sides of the family.
Absolutely. So your title, Major, you're serving as the pastor and administrator here, correct?
Yes, yes.
So when did you come to Alpena?
Oh, it was July 1st.
Okay, so you've just been here a couple weeks.
Yes.
Okay, and so you have family that you brought with you?
Just my dog this time. This is the first time I'm an empty nester. I have 4 adult children, and this time I just came with me and my dog.
Okay, all right. So what was it about this assignment? I know that you obviously have the strong family history and ties here, but what is it about this position that really attracted you?
Well, the Salvation Army assigns you to your appointment, so it's not really so much of a choice. Okay. But as soon as I heard Alpena, again, I was excited because for me, there's a family foundation here at the Salvation Army, and I felt like if I could come and help the work of the Salvation Army, I'd be following in the footsteps of my grandparents who really built this army to be something to be proud of and to win souls for Jesus and to grow this community, help to assist in that if I can be a part of that too, then I'm carrying on what my parents and grandparents have already started in this community.
And so as you say, so there is not a whole lot of choice in terms of your assignment. So can you walk us through the path to becoming, to be able to serve in your type of position?
Yeah. In the Salvation Army, it's a calling. You feel calling from God that He wants you to be a part of a pastorship. And so then when you're attending the Salvation Army, then they send you to seminary. You go to seminary for a couple of years, and after 2 years, then the Salvation Army assigns you to your first appointment. So you go through a procedure where they kind of look at you and your gifts and your skills and say, what community could really be enhanced by their gifts and their skills? And then they send you to that appointment, and then we move. Maybe my last appointment, I was there almost 6 years. And so I've been in appointments for only a year, and other appointments for 6 years or more.
Mm-hmm. And so just that wanting to serve the community, is that what the strongest part of the calling is?
Yeah, definitely, because I really feel that we need to serve the community. We need to reach out to people, especially at this time. There are people that are lost, whatever, emotionally or mentally or physically or spiritually. And we all need leaders that will help come alongside us and encourage us and help us to grow, to be better people. And I want to be that. I want to reach out to people and help assist them and encourage them to see that life is better and there is hope. They don't have to always live in the situation that they're in, that there is hope for all of us to achieve what we need to achieve.
And so you've been doing this a long time, Major. I read that you have some 30 years of history with the Salvation Army.
Yes, over 30 years, yes.
So what was your first assignment like?
Oh, my first assignment, I was only 21 years old, so I was a young person, and I was in Indiana, was stationed down there in Evansville, Indiana. And so it was kind of exciting. You go to a new appointment, again, you get to, spread your wings, and you're no longer in the seminary, and you can, do great things. So it was really exciting for me, but it was also a challenge because, again, school can't teach you what real life can teach you. And so to go out there and experience real life, really makes you wake up and realize, again, the deeper need there is, and also the having an understanding of people's needs, and not just saying, oh yeah, whatever, but to really deeply understand what they're going through so you can guide them.
And so what have you, some of the things that you've learned over the years about people serving in this type of role?
Well, I have learned that everyone's changeable, that everyone can achieve something better. Sometimes we think, oh, that person will never change, you're always going to be like that. But I've seen people that have been a certain way for many, many years, and something impacts them and they change to something better. And I don't give up on people. I don't believe in giving up on people. I believe that everyone has that goodness in them, and it just needs to be shown. Sometimes it's covered up by things that have happened in their lives, negative things. I know my life hasn't been easy as an adult. I've been through some difficult times, and I could have allowed those things to tell me that's who I was going to be. And I said, no, I'm not going to allow those things to tell me that's who I'm going to be. I'm going to allow God to tell me what I'm going to be and move forward. And I think that that's one thing to really realize, that we need to help each other, encourage each other, because some people are lost and they can't see the darkness and they can't see the light through the darkness. And if we can shed that light to them and show them, they may be able to get out.
Mm-hmm. So that whole, I guess, a train of thought that no one is beyond redemption.
Yes, that's right. No one is. No one.
Mm-hmm. So with that, so what are some of the things that you would like to bring to Alpena?
Well, again, I've been here only a week, and I've been trying to learn a little bit more about what's going on here, and I will continue to learn more before I make any final decisions. But a couple of the things that I'm looking forward to is here we need to have a board, an advisory board, a group of people in the community that will help guide me here in the Salvation Army. What are some programs we need to do? How can we enhance our programs? Even property issues. As a Salvation Army pastor, I can't know everything. And I certainly can't know everything in the community, so I need community assistance to help me make those important decisions. So first I'm going to try to build a community board that will help me make those decisions to move forward. I also would like to get to collaborate with other agencies to make those stronger collaborations to see how the Army can better serve. I'm very much into believing that stewardship is important of funds. I believe that if community gives to me, to the Salvation Army, that I need to make sure that I'm using that wisely. So I want to be able to make programs that people will be proud to want to give to the Salvation Army, and that they see results from those programs here at the Salvation Army.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned an important word, program. So tell us about some of the programs that the Salvation Army, I guess, implements in communities, not just in Alpena, but across the country. What is a little bit of the history of the Salvation Army?
Well, the Salvation Army, what I love about the Salvation Army is that we can fit into that community. We can see what the community needs are. We're not a cookie cutter, like this is what is done in this community, so you all have to do it in every single community. Salvation Army allows me to look in the community and say, what are the needs of this community? What are a group of people that are not being reached that we can reach out to? And they allow us to make those changes, and that's what I enjoy being able to do. So some of the communities I've been to, they've been involved in summer feeding programs for youth. Because of school years, there's no free reduced lunches. So in some of the communities, we provided meals. In some communities that we've had an eviction diversion program where we've gone into the courthouse and worked with the landlords and the clients to try to see if we can resolve an issue so that they will not be out on the streets, but because it costs us a lot more money to put them back into their homes and to house them during that time. So let's see what we can do to keep them in their homes. Again, there's children's programs that are always started. My emphasis seems to be more into youth activities because that's where I feel my calling is, to reach out to the youth. So whatever I can do to help reach out in the community of the youth is something that I would like to also participate and be a part of.
Absolutely. Well, Major Prisa, we will talk more about the programs and the history of the Salvation Army, but first we will take a quick break and we'll be right back right after this.
Insights will return after these messages.
Welcome back to Insights. We're continuing our conversation with Major Prisa Morrison of the Salvation Army right here in Alpena. And I know at the break, Major, we were talking about some of the programs that are implemented across the country at the hands of the Salvation Army. But right here in Alpena, you're doing a lot of things as well. I think one of them is distributing masks as we maneuver through the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes. We recently, too, we just received another over 500 masks. And we've already distributed some to different agencies, but if any agency or any individual needs masks, please come and get them. We have plenty of them to take. Again, our other social services programs are still being held. Again, they're modified differently, so it should be important that they call to make sure, so we're able to serve them the way that we know the need isn't going to stop. It's going to continue, and it may even be a little more difficult as time goes on, and we have to start paying our utility bills and have to start paying our rent, that there's going to be more of a need, and that's what we're here for. The Salvation Army is here to serve those needs even when it gets to the extreme time in the next few months.
Yeah. So what are some of the needs that you've seen as people or different communities have, as we've all had to make adjustments and maneuver through COVID-19? What are some of the needs that you've seen, and how has the Salvation Army been able to help address those needs?
Well, again, the majority of the needs we're seeing is the necessities, you know, that we need food and we need shelter. And that's the big needs that we have seen, and most of the funds that I've seen gone into has been in those areas, especially because, again, the schools were out, children weren't getting those free reduced lunches, so they need to have meals, and it's been so great to see in those communities the schools coming along with other agencies to try to work together to provide meals for them, not only lunches, but even meals for supper and even breakfasts. So that's been great to see. The utility need, we know that, especially with the heat in Alpena. Again, as a child, I thought it was a lot colder up here than it's been. And so we know that the air conditioners are probably running a lot longer than they used to be. And so I think it's important that we understand that with the governor giving us some more time, making it a little easier for us, that we also need to remember to start saving our funds so that we can pay for some of those bills when we have to start paying them. So I'm kind of concerned about the utility issues, and again, even the housing issues when we have to start getting down to paying our rent. And so, you know, that's what we're here, again, to see where we can get the funding and try to help as many people as we can. And I know other agencies in this community does help in some of those other areas too, which is what I'm still learning, what other agencies are helping, but we want to do what we can.
What is the pathway if someone is watching and interested in maybe following in your footsteps or having a career with the Salvation Army? What are some of your recommendations for them?
Well, the first is to give me a call. And then we would have them, again, get to know the church and how we function as a church and how we function as social services, because that is a very strong part of what we do. We do what we do social services-wise because we want to follow in the footsteps of Jesus. With Matthew 25, as when you talked about that, is serving the least of these. And so we in the Salvation Army believes that how can we preach the gospel to people if they have an empty stomach or they're living on the streets? We need to show them the Jesus that loves them first before we can give them the gospel. So we want to provide them with the necessities of life. And so they come and they meet with me and then again tend the church, and if they feel that really a strong calling, then we send them to the seminary and help them from there.
Mm-hmm. And then also the advisory council that you talked about, hoping to start in the very near future. If those that are watching want to be involved in that, should they reach out to the Salvation Army? What should they do?
Yes, anyone who's a leader in the community and wants to make a difference too, and knows and understands the mission of the Army, even if they don't, but they kind of understand the Salvation Army, we'd love to have them come and I can introduce them to the programs, and all they need to do is give me a call too. And also to volunteer. You don't have to be a Salvation Army soldier, you know, to volunteer here. We're always looking for volunteers to help with our program, especially as we're going into Christmas. We're concerned as we're going into Christmas that last year they helped over 200 families. We could see double that this year. We don't know because of the needs that are going to be coming even in the future. So we're going to need volunteers to assist us as we come close to Christmas, and especially to ring those bells at
Right.
Christmas time. So we'll need people who wants to volunteer to ring bells.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you, Major Prisa, for spending time with us today.
thank
And
you.
again,
Thank
welcome
you.
to Alpena.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
For our next stop, we'll be heading over to Pied Piper Elementary, where we will be introducing you to the new principal. He has over 30 years of experience working with special needs children. Well, joining me now is Larry John, the new principal at Pied Piper Elementary. And I shall say welcome because you've been in Alpena just over a year, correct?
That's correct.
So how are you enjoying your time here?
I love it. It's a great place to live.
Absolutely. And so we want to talk about your new role here as the principal of Pied Piper. So what attracted you to this position?
It was an opportunity to move into a leadership position, but not just the leadership position, but it's with the students that come to this school. It's a vulnerable population that I have found immense satisfaction of working with for the last 10 years.
And so you have, almost 30 years or so, 30 years plus experience in the educational field. What has attracted you to this line of work?
It's a population that I feel like needs a lot of strong advocates and allies. This population a lot of times doesn't have its own voice to advocate for themselves, and so they look to others to be that advocate for their interests and for their own ability to achieve their greatest potential in themselves, and it's something that I find that I can provide for.
Now, can you tell us a little bit of the history of Pied Piper? I know the school serves primarily those that have some type of cognitive challenges.
Sure. So Pied Piper serves approximately 40 to 50 students who are moderately to severely cognitively impaired. And this building here has been here since 1973. Pied Piper, the school, has been in existence since as early as 1960. It was started by concerned citizens and parents who wanted to have robust educational opportunities for this population.
And so when you think about this population, and as you say, they are vulnerable, they don't always have your voice, what are some of the things that you would like people to know about this population of students?
One of the things that I have learned from working with this population is how much like them I am. They are a fellow human being. They have things that they like, they have things they don't like, they have their interests, they have their desires to improve and to grow. There's just barriers that stand in the way. It could be a communication barrier, and that communication barrier is something that we can overcome because of the skills and resources that we have. And if we just give the time and the resources, I find that we can align ourselves with their interests and their desires and provide those services for them. And our society constantly identifies vulnerable populations and how we can support those populations. And it's something that is just important to me that we are able to do that for these students.
Well, Larry, we're going to take a break and we will be back with more of Insights right after this.
Great.
Insights will return after these messages.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We're continuing our conversation with Larry John, the new principal at Pied Piper Elementary. And before the break, Larry, we were talking about your love for the population and how you work to help them reach their greatest potential. And we know that Pied Piper is a great advocate, is a great place for that.
Our students have a need to, when I talk with parents and to our staff, it's about thinking through where we want these kids to be when they're 18 up to 26 years old. We want them to have as much independence as they possibly can have. So we have to start early at providing opportunities to build those skills. So we have classes for students who are as young as 4 and 5 years old, and we have classes for students that are as old as 26. And throughout that continuum, they are provided opportunities to learn independent functioning skills that are both educational but also vocational. We have students who are able to learn workplace skills here in the building, and they also have opportunities to go out into community to practice those workplace skills in our hopes that they can be as independent as possible when they graduate from our program.
And so your educational background just attracted you to working with special needs children?
It did, both my education, but I'm also a parent of a child who has special needs. I have an 11-year-old daughter who has Down syndrome. So I have both the educational lens and workplace experience, but also that role as parent. What are my hopes and dreams for my daughter when I think about what life is going to be like for her when she's an adult? And I take that passion and that drive and that hope and want to provide experiences for these students as well.
Now, Larry, as you see, the educational system continues to evolve, and obviously over the COVID-19 pandemic, we've had to do online learning for students. How do you see education, our educational system, best serving our special needs population? Where do you see opportunities for growth or change or development?
Sure. So I've worked with kids with special needs in a variety of public education settings. And my biggest concern is that with the more pronounced focus on academic learning, that sometimes we might have the tendency to forget the whole individual. And so working with this population, you cannot forget the whole individual. It's not just academic skills. There's social emotional skills. There's independent functioning skills. There's the workplace vocational skills. There's the whole individual. And there's just sometimes, I think, when I watch public education as a whole, we focus only on one facet of the person. And there's so much more to the person than just reading and writing and math. There's their interests, there's their dreams, there's how they want to contribute to society. So I think we need to make sure we don't lose sight of that whole person when we're seeking to equip them to be engaged citizens when they're adults.
And I like how you say to be a contributing citizen in the community, because everybody wants to contribute.
In their own way they do. And if we give them the time and the resources, they can.
What are you most looking forward to this year, this school year?
I'm looking forward to getting to know the students on a personal level, their families. I'm also looking forward to the traditions that the school has, the fall festival that they have, the Christmas play that they put on. We have a greenhouse that does a couple of community cells. So I'm looking forward to engaging this culture and this family that is here, both in the staff that I'll work with, but also in the families, because sometimes we might have a student from 5 until they're 26 years old in this one building. So it's truly a family experience, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that family.
And so how have you enjoyed your time in Alpena? I know you came from, was it Florida?
Yep, I moved up from Florida just a year ago.
Okay.
I love the small town. I love the Four Seasons. I love getting out and enjoying nature. I love the community roots. I'm a big history buff.
Okay.
And so I'm really attracted to the heritage that's here and the multi-generational families that are here and how they're invested in their community. It's an enjoyable thing to be a part of.
And is there anything about you that our community may not know right now that you would like for them to know?
I'm an avid photographer, amateur photographer, so I've enjoyed going around taking pictures of the sunrises and the beautiful waterfalls and going out into the woods. So you might see me around with a camera and looking for places to take pictures.
Well, Larry, we want to again welcome you to Alpena. I know it's been a little bit over a year, but we still consider you fairly new, and we wish you a very successful school year.
Thank you very much.
Well, that does it for this week's Insights. If you have a question, comment, or story idea, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@wbkb11.com. I'm Sherry Stewart. Thank you again for watching. Have a great week.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.